Incredible. You get great rates. You don't have to deal with any of the bull. Jerry Jones met with the media to address a few outstanding question marks about the Cowboys, contract extensions, roster moves, and the draft. Take a listen.
Candidly, without any way being defensive, we're very proud of our personnel, very proud of this roster. How do we feel about where we've been in this free agency? We feel great about what we've been in free agency. All in. All in. All in. We're all in with these young guys coming on. And we're all in with this draft.
What? Meanwhile, Mike McCarthy's like, my God, I hope we get one of these running backs. It'd be great to add it to the room, but I don't believe that these draft picks are just absolutely starters. I don't understand any of this. All in, Derrick Henry's on the Ravens. So, Nick, your reaction. Coach Mangini's here.
No,
Hi, Coach.
thanks.
I need to make sense of this.
I can't believe I think this word is overused and misused, but I think this is accurate here. I think Jerry Jones is gaslighting us, guys. Oh. I think Jerry Jones is doing a couple things. One is changing the definition of what all in has always meant in terms of sports and what it means, particularly if you state it right before a free agency period begins. I think that's happening. And I think Jerry Jones is dealing with the fact that the Cowboys kind of already went all in on the last couple years. That's the fact that they owe Dak Prescott $29 million of cash for the rest of his contract, but $96 million of cap charges shows they've been borrowing from the future and they have nothing to show for it.
Right.
So they have to act like, no, we're still doing it, but they're boxed in by Dak's cap hit. They're boxed in by the no trade. They're boxed in by all these things. And so he wants to say they're all in without doing anything, which is just flatly not accurate to what is going on.
Yeah, I think what he means by all in, and this is maybe what you're alluding to, changing the definition, we're all in this year. And if it doesn't work, which I think is probably at least the NFC title game, if we don't get there, now they're S-Bob. Just because he wants to change it,
Thank you.
they're S-Bob. All right.
Yeah.
But if we don't get at least to the NFC title game, I think it's looking like he's going to start all over, maybe offensively. All right. And so as far as McCarthy, yeah, McCarthy knows I'm on a lame duck contract. My defensive coordinator's on a lame duck contract. I've lost a lot of my offensive linemen. We only have 4 draft picks in the top 170. I get it. They seem, you watch the whole press conference, they seem to believe in their drafts of the past, and these guys are going to step up and be good starters. But McCarthy sees the writing on the wall. He sees the depth chart with Rico Dowdell on there and wow, I need a running back. And so I wonder, did he say that next to Jerry, that quote, or later on when he was by himself?
Oh, I'm not
I don't know. It was on their website.
I don't think it was.
But look at the running back room. So they've got Deuce Vaughn, Rico Dowdell, and Royce Freeman, combined 214 carries.
Fresh.
214 touches.
Oh,
Tony Pollard last year had over 300 touches. Now, if you compare that to 2 years ago where they had Pollard and Zeke, those guys had 414 carries in the same year, 1,800 yards, and 21 touchdowns. And now they're looking at Dowdell, Freeman, and Deuce Vaughn. Of course, McCarthy's like, I hope we get a running back. But he's right. When you look at this group of running backs, it's not as strong as it has historically been. But running backs, you can get guys later in the draft.
That's
Guys
not their biggest problem is lack of running.
That's a pretty big problem, though.
Because I don't think they have the quarterback that's just going to carry the team.
But think about 2 years ago when they had Zeke and Tony Pollard, and now we're talking about these 3 guys, and you're sitting there, I hope we hit on a running back in the draft. So to say you're all in on the draft, you better be. You better be, especially at that position. You got to compliment Dak with something.
So listen, this is where I'll disagree with you guys. The Cowboys have legitimate issues. I don't think the running back room is going to be a problem for them.
Why?
I mean, because here's why.
If this is the team.
I do think they're going to draft somebody in some round.
And he's just going to be good automatically?
I think that they had the highest scoring team in the league last year with bad running back play. That's what I think.
Tony Pollard wasn't bad.
He averaged 4 yards a carry and 5.7 yards a catch.
Right, which is to me more about their offense, and now you can say their offensive line's not going to be as good because Tyron Smith's gone, Biotish is gone, the offensive line. I think they had, and I think Pollard's free agency period post-Dallas proved this out, replacement level running back play, and the offense hummed. I don't think their problem is going, you can find running backs in this league. Their problem is not that they didn't sign Derrick Henry. Their problem is what we're going to get to, that all their best players need new contracts and they don't seem to have the money to do it. Well, that's their problem.
You can find guys to run the ball.
That's all Tony Pollard was.
He made well, I know a Pro Bowl isn't what he used to be, but he averaged more than 5 yards for his career. Last year when he did have to be the main guy, no Zeke, he wasn't as good, but he still was pretty good.
Didn't have a hard time in free agency. Seemed to get signed pretty quickly for a terrible back.
I didn't say he was terrible, Coach. I didn't say he was terrible, but I don't think that
you said he was replacement
level. I think you can find Tony Pollard's. I do. I think that everybody falls in love with the change of pace back because the yards per carry are high, because of the way they're used and they're always fresh. And then they become your every down guy and you're like, oh, he's not that good. And with him as their every down guy, the offense in the regular season last year was the highest scoring in football. So I don't think that was their problem.
Well,
that's
the
the
good
only
news is they have to find both now.
What? Well, one of those guys could be their change of pace back, whether
maybe.
it's Deuce or Rico Dowdle. One of those guys could do that.
Landscaping metaphor. Take a listen.
Who in the world would think that we're not working on it? I work on it. It pops open at 2 in the morning sometimes. What your actually question is why don't you have something done and negotiated and put in the drawer? Well, we'd like to see some more leaves fall. We'd like to see some more action. It'd be madness not to know that the contracts are ahead. I want to see a few more cards played.
Okay, well, the cards played this afternoon, Brew. Amon-Ra St. Brown just signed for 120, most wide receiver guaranteed money ever at 77. So CeeDee Lamb said, oh, that's nice. And just statistically, CeeDee Lamb led him in all categories, every single one. So there's that.
Well, look, I think they're definitely going to sign CD and Micah. The only caveats would be if it goes, you could let CD play it out this year. And if it doesn't go well, are you saying we're starting over offensively and we don't need a high-price wide receiver? Maybe. Micah, if the reports, about some people in the organization would like it if he's gone, maybe they want to see him mature. I'm not saying they want to get rid of him, but Micah, you whatever it is, you got to mature, whatever they're looking for before we give you this money. So I guess those are the two caveats I'd say, but I expect him to get signed.
So he has a ton of quotes, right? So the leaves are falling, the cards are being played. He talks about being an option quarterback, all in. I mean, it goes on and on, and he talks about the credit card. Let me show you the quote that the Dallas Cowboy fans only need to look at. This is all you need to know about the Dallas Cowboys this year. I just want to try to be good enough to work through this and us have a winning season, which we have a chance to have. That is who the Cowboys are this year. The card's falling. He's going to look. Where does CeeDee Lamb play out? Where does Micah Parsons play out? Where does Mike McCarthy play out? He's going to let all that stuff happen without spending a lot of money, and then at the end of the year, then they're going to recalibrate. And
so you don't think they'll have a contract going into the season? I think
that this is the most truthful statement he said.
Wow.
Is that they are going to let this thing play out, hopefully make the playoffs, which he thinks he can, because they've got to repay the credit card. And then at the end of the year, whoever's worth keeping around, great. Whoever's not, they're going to move on.
So I think that's about the coach and the quarterback, not about CD and Micah. So I disagree with you there. I think CD and Micah will both get deals, which this, to me, is the fair criticism of the Cowboys. Waiting, it'd be one thing if it's like, you know what, haven't seen enough from CeeDee Lamb, don't know if he's good enough. Like, if it truly was, we're going to watch more football be played.
Yeah.
But waiting later in the offseason, here's what I believe he is saying. Justin Jefferson is going to sign a new deal, which will set a ceiling of all the wide receiver deals, similar to what Aaron Donald did with D tackles a while ago, which was everyone knew he's the best, so you don't have to beat it. The problem is deals like Amon-Ra St. Brown. The problem is guys that your guy is better than will also sign deals in the interim. You know, a team who I criticize some of their drafting, and I certainly criticize their coach, but whose front office knows what they're doing, is the Eagles. You know what they did? They had Devontae Smith, and last week they got him for 3 for $75 because they got him early. They paid him early, so he took a bit of a discount because he got the security of it, and you keep it moving. But when you have from CD's draft class the following people potentially getting deals, not just Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, CD's better than him. T. Higgins, CD's better than him. So all of these deals, CD is going to have to exceed, and now also Amon-Ra St. Brown, who CD is better than. It's a bananas way to manage your cap, and it's why they're in this position. They're in this position because they're the same thing with Dak. We need to wait, and then you decided you were going to sign him anyway, and you got a no trade, no tag, and you're in this position. Well, that part they do poorly.
But it's also when you use the credit card, at some point you got to pay the bill.
I agree with that.
They got to pay the Dak bill, and so they've got to see now where do these guys. This season is going to be about let's hope we can get to the playoffs, see what happens, and then we'll.
Then those guys will just
they're going to be
more
all
expensive.
in next. They're going to be more expensive, but there's no money. I mean, it's some.